Hey everyone, today we're here checking out the Chester, Massachusetts KeyStone arches. I got a full video of that, I'll link in the description, but the main reason we're here is I want to walk through a culvert that's here. It's a pretty long one underneath the active section of railway. It can be accessed right next to the trail. Got my tall boots on for this, and along the way I'll show the arches. Really steep. No one's parking down here now because they know they won't be able to get back up. They recently, in the past year, extended the parking lot down here as the place becomes more popular. You can probably squeeze another 20 cars down here. There's no sign saying not to go down here, but you're not supposed to drive down this. This dirt road will go down over the KeyStone arches and to the main line. The only reason you see tire tracks there is because CSX employees drive the pickup trucks down there to get to the tracks. Water is really low today. Here's the first bridge. I stepped into the river to block the sun. It's in great condition, and this one is still in use today by the active railway. It looks like at one point they built this out of concrete to stabilize the rock wall. Obviously a long time ago. The whole trail is basically flat. Some icy areas in the winter. Bunch of water crossings like this. But if you look off to the sides, you'll often see a culvert sticking out of the hill not in use. It's from years of neglect. There used to be some sort of drainage ditch on the inner side so it could send it under. That means those pipes are buried a few feet in debris. But they don't really care. It's a hiking trail more than it is a road. Right here in the woods, there is a tall tower standing next to an in-ground swimming pool full of sludge. That's the remains of an old artist colony built in the 1960s that has since been torn down. Here we got a culvert right here, accepting some water from above. These old culverts like this are much better than what you find today. Many of them here are still in decent condition. Got another culvert here. Doesn't appear to be doing anything, but we have a small brook here that's going through a heavy-duty cast iron culvert that'll probably still be in use in another 100 years. Look at that. Probably 3/4 inch thick at least. And since the last time I was out here, last winter, they put up another gate. People were probably driving their personal vehicles up here. There is no sign saying they couldn't, but they have put an end to it. And further up the trail, a lot of nice rock walls, foundations. And right over here, got these 4 granite pillars sticking out, which was probably a building sitting on it. Got a frost heave that is pushed nearly a foot out of the ground because as groundwater froze, it crystallized and expanded. Same thing that happens under the main roads. Here's the foundation of another building that was here a long time ago. Look at that big old beaver lodge. You can see the water line around it. Water's pretty low right now. Alright, here we are, about to walk over the top. Unfortunately, every time I've ever been here, always been super windy. The amazing thing about this bridge is there's only 3 feet of rock holding the arch together. It's a very popular swimming spot in the summer. Got a lot of deep holes under there with the chance of getting bit by a beaver because there's a lodge directly under the bridge. And you see, what adds to it being even more scary, there's no railing. It used to be these nice blocks going all the way across, but over the years, vandalism, people pushed them all right off. Right here in the center, there's only 3 feet of rock holding it. That's where we're going down there. There's a culvert down there. Because of the trees on the other side, not good for picture taking. But if you're down there, it looks fantastic. There's actually a rope someone hung up to get down on that trail. Take a look at how deep the water is there. Extremely high. I have no idea if anyone's ever been crazy enough to jump off into that. But right now, it's definitely not deep enough. Let's walk underneath. Rope somebody added. Can't be official. I think someone swimming here did that. All right. This is probably the best view you can get. Down here, bottom of that rope. It is kind of a treacherous climb. Real awesome. Look at this debris here all thrown up. Most of that is Asian knotweed or Japanese knotweed that the river broke from somewhere. You can even see some growing along the edge, but we got a beaver lodge right here. And the beavers are definitely using some of that for construction. That beaver lodge looks a lot smaller. They may have abandoned it and they're living at the one I showed earlier. It does look like a great place for swimming. I doubt anyone would try jumping off that, but right here in the summertime, when the river is a few feet higher, like it's supposed to be, that right there is really deep. That is awesome too. Look at all that frazzle ice building up. You can see all the crystals and slush flowing. Now let's make our way over to the culvert. Look at this right here. Got a little walkway. Pretty nice. I think they actually cut these trees for their passenger trains can see this arch. Why else would they intentionally cut down that far? So I remember I was standing up there on those train tracks when I made a video of this last time, and it was just an awesome. Then decided I'm gonna take the lower road since I have the boots on. Gotta walk through a little bit of water for this. There's evidence this entire place I'm standing on sometimes goes underwater. This is a shame, all this invasive plant growing right here. Beavers have been active recently. Now this culvert over here is probably 1950s or so. Maybe even older, into the 30s. Look at these old cans. I actually believe I might have even put these here because I might have showed these last year when I was out here. I think I found them walking on the hill. Decided to leave them there. Here's a big can. I'm not sure if sediment filled in the bottom or not, but we probably have a good 3 feet of clearance. If all goes well, let's see. Yeah, the water's not even deep once you get towards the other end. It's just on this end to slow it down, which is usually intentional when they build culverts. Let's get my light in, see how it goes. As far as I can tell, it looks like it's in good condition. There's a little bit of damage there, but that's from the freeze and thaw cycles. This facade looks really old, meaning it was probably built nicely. Take my hood off, and a little bit of damage there. That's nothing structural. Let's go inside. Probably gonna be some spiders in here. Ooh. Bumping my head on the ceiling. All right, got a bunch of sticks in here. More headroom as I go. I don't see any spiders yet, but I expect to see some black widows as I get in here further. Got a little bit of groundwater right there trickling out of the wall. Not a big deal. Oh, we got a little bit of damage in here. Doesn't look like it's anything serious yet. The concrete back then, when they used to mix all this rock into it, made it so much better than what you find these days. Ooh, I keep tripping on the sticks. More sticks. Got a lot of headroom right now. Now we got a gravel floor that's been being eroded. Still an awesome dome. No spiders yet. My thinking is this might act like a funnel in the valley, so the cold air is forced in here all the way through it, so they can't survive inside it during the winter, like some culverts that have almost stagnant air. Because if you got stagnant air, the hill's gonna keep it warm, probably in the 40-degree range. I'm losing headroom again. I really want to stretch. Got some damage right here, erosion on the bottom. The concrete looks a little different here, like they patched it at one point. Losing headroom again. Oh, there's a bunch of damage there off to the left because of the angle. They need to add a flare to this culvert to make it go in there. All right, we're out on the other side of the active railway. Definitely colder here. I don't think as much sunshine gets in here to melt everything. I'd say that's not too bad yet. It actually does have a flare. That's what that is. To help angle it into the culvert faster. You can fit more capacity through a smaller pipe. Oh wow. They took pride in their work back then. They actually used to date them 1912. And it probably hasn't even been touched since. These days, a concrete culvert, they'll probably fail in 30 or 40 years. Unless they spend the money. If you have an expensive project, they'll usually spend the money for a really good culvert. Like, built with these rocks mixed into it. I know the ones at Moore Reservoir were precast, and they were put in 60 years ago. Not a thing wrong with them. But then on the other hand, I've been in ones replaced 20 years ago that are failing. The thing is, a lot of times these days, the culverts, they force them to dry fast. If you want a good, strong precast culvert, as soon as that concrete sets, you need to be spraying them down, keeping them wet, even sometimes putting them under water for months so it can cure really slowly. And also, a strong culvert, you don't pour it out of a cement truck or mixer. You pack it, you tamp it into place. Tamped concrete will last so much longer, and it's more resistant to road salt. All right. I might not walk back through. Maybe we'll just walk over the top. Nah, let's go in. That's what we came here to do. And while I'm out here, I'll walk down to the other KeyStone arches. There's only one more that involves the trail. The furthest one collapsed years ago, and they built another one next to it, which is a concrete arch, which already shows a lot of signs of failure because they don't do what they used to. These granite arches, those stones were cut right here in Chester, about 2 or 3 miles away. The gigantic granite cutting saw still remains sitting in the woods. And I got a video of that. The saw blade is probably an 8-foot diameter. Really big. Getting to the deep spot with all the logs. Got more headroom temporarily. All right, we're out. And let's climb back up to the trail. Considering there's no snow on this, it probably fell in the wind over the last few days. The park rangers haven't been here yet to cut it up. That's a pretty big tree. And by what I've seen, they might even leave it there. They'll cut a little slit through it. I don't think they want trucks driving up here anymore. Not even the train company's trucks that I've seen on here. So there's a bunch of trees down across the trail today, and they're not completely cutting them up. This place here is really cool when you get a warm day. Last year when I was here, these big pieces were falling off as the sun was hitting them. They'd fall to the bottom and big chunks would slide out onto the trail. Looks really nice. Just look at all the work they had to do when they built this railway. They had to blast through this entire mountain. They had to bring all the nice desirable chunks of granite a couple miles away to have them cut up for the bridges. I'm not sure. Maybe they even got them where they were cutting them. It's a lot of work for something not being used anymore. But the new train track is built on a shelf. A couple 100 yards that way. See that concrete foundation? We also got another one over here. Seeing how there's two of them, I bet there would have been a signal tower standing above the tracks. We just reached the next bridge. This one's almost as big as the last one. Still got a good amount of railing attached, but you see, they're just granite blocks. They're not even mortared together. So you can see how easily people were able to push them into the water. Got an awful lot of trees growing up on this one. Feel better from holding on to the railing. Yeah, this one is just as high, just not as wide. There's the active train tracks right up there on that shelf. And another half a mile ahead, get to the one that collapsed. And they have since built the concrete one next to it. I don't think they would have used the arch to begin with. Really steep trail down. Definitely worth the view. Somebody should definitely try to fix this before this bridge is gone forever. If this keeps up, eventually the thing is going to collapse. Take a look at the damage right here around the corner. You see they have that retaining wall that they built to stop it from digging, but you see they weren't mortared together very well. Probably water digging underneath it. It's slowly removing the rocks and stones from the foundation of the bridge. It's probably 50 years, 100 years before anything major happens, but they should definitely try to prevent it for such a historical bridge. Walk it up, a lot of roots, a lot of coal dust. Okay, we reached the end of the trail. There's the active train tracks. You can tell by the trail, basically everyone goes over there. There's actually some abandoned cars across the river there that I've showed before. Pickup truck and some white car in the woods. So right where I'm standing now, you can see the foundation across. That's what this is. And one right here. They had a granite arch just like the other ones. That one collapsed at some point. They must have cleaned it up because there's not many bricks here. That's the new concrete one they made. You can already see some deterioration on it, but it does look like old concrete. So at least it's got that integrity. Yeah, there's some cars in the woods over there. We checked those out in my original film of the place. There's a sign there telling you more about it. It asks you not to wander onto the active railways property. Honestly, the train company up here knows there's a bunch of rail fan areas, there's a bunch of hiking trails. They're not going to give you trouble if they see you walking. Every time they've ever came to talk to me, all they've really said is thank you for not walking on the tracks. And they've even given me things before. When I tell them I'm a fan of trains, I have a railway jacket that says CSX. It's waterproof. Got a couple vests. Very friendly people who work for that company. This bridge is even dated 1844. And it's still standing. It'll continue to stand if the erosion doesn't get to it anytime soon beneath. This bridge, cutting all these stones and building it, probably cost 10 times more than any modern bridge, but it's also 10 times stronger, and it'll last hundreds of years rather than maybe 40 or... All right, on the way back, arrows are pointing this way. That's the way we came in, the trail. They have you leave the dirt road for a little while because they don't want you near this arch here. This one's actually second, but I always save it for last since it's a little bit out of the way. Nothing says you can't come down here, but they have arrows pointing away from it. I think they want people to stay away from the active tracks, since you actually have to cross the active tracks to see it. What you're seeing there now is a concrete arch that they built for the active railway. But the granite arch is standing right next to it on the far side. Imagine that on a nice hot summer day. Really deep water hanging out in there. Looks like a good swimming area. And as soon as I'm done, you see you can just circle right back up to the trail. They used to have a gate here. Haven't used it in a while though. That black box you see down there is a older model of a track greaser. It squirts grease up onto the track so the train driving by spreads it for miles. They want to do that because it cuts down on wear and tear around the sharp corners. You would think that would stop the train from getting traction. It doesn't. If they actually needed traction on the hills, they would use sand. All the locomotives have spouts in front of the wheels, and they can spray sand beneath them for traction. They usually only need that if they're starting up from a standstill on a hill. Unless the train is just super duper long and they're trying to get going faster. From here, it doesn't even look like there's a gap. This bridge is in pretty good condition. Everyone smashed the railing on this side. That side's fully intact. All right, on the way back, found this tank, which is near those artist colonies. It's not very deep. Some sort of tank. And you see that black pipe? It had to have been hooked up to that, so maybe a swimming pool filter. Does that make sense? Here's the in-ground swimming pool. Got less water than the last time I was here. It's definitely holding water though. So you got the railing around the edge. In the summertime it's covered with really nice green algae. The wall over there collapsed, or maybe they did that on purpose. There's some pillar in the middle. Maybe there was a bridge or a deck over it. Got this building here, which is gone. Still got a massive fireplace there though, covered in shotgun holes. All right, I'm gonna end this here. Hope this video is interesting. Thanks for watching.